All right, Chompy and the Girls is a movie that I just happened across. It is currently streaming on the Roku channel for free, or you can rent it on Amazon for 99 cents. This is a comedy horror. A little more on the comedy, but there's definitely horror.
Yes.
This is a very quirky, very odd, eccentric horror comedy that I absolutely think has cult type properties. Like I definitely think this is the kind of film that will achieve a cult status one day. I think this will be a movie that really lands with certain people, and they're gonna love it. And they're gonna be like, "This is my kind of shit." And it's gonna be one of those movies they have in their collection. They're gonna be like, "You bet you never heard of this," and they're gonna throw it on, and people are gonna go, "What the is going on?"
It's like, Terror Vision kind of, like that level of sort of zaniness, and it's
a zany movie.
It
sure is. So, anyways, we got this girl named Jackson, and she is not too happy with how things have been going in her life. So she decides that she's gonna end it all. This is a failure. This happens in the first minute. This is no spoiler. And after doing so, she has no one in her life. Her mom is not taking her calls. Her friends all seem to have better things to do. So what does she do? She contacts her father, who she's never met and doesn't know that she exists. This has kind of been an ace in her sleeve for a long time that she's finally calling upon at the age of 24. And she texts him in a very inopportune moment because, as I said, he don't know about her, and his wife clearly doesn't know about her.
Definitely not.
Because his wife ain't the mom.
No.
Obviously. And so he goes to meet her, against, behind his wife's back. And when they're having their interaction, they witness something. Something called Chompy. And I won't say anything more on that. But I will say, there is Chompy. What is Chompy?
Oh my gosh.
I think you need to watch the film to find out for yourself.
Yes.
Because I took Kaylee into this blind. She had no idea what the hell to expect.
Zero.
And when it happened, I will tell you, as silly as it is a very silly film. And it is mostly going for humor and for these kind of like poignant metaphors about father and daughter relationships and, getting in touch with the child inside of yourself, stuff like that. And I do think that this film takes huge swings. I think that it doesn't land all of them. I think there's some humor that doesn't work. And I think there's some humor that really works for me personally. But what I was getting at originally is that even though it is played as very silly, Kaylee was terrified by Chompy.
I was.
As silly as it is. When you see it, you're going to be like, really?
Yeah.
But I get it.
It was one of those, it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like done really effectively though. And I can't get the image out of my head. Like I've honestly been thinking about it all day. Because it's just like one of those things that I was telling you, like if it happened to me, nobody would believe you. Like you would just, it would be so insane and so out there. And I think that the practical effects in this are actually pretty cool. And, they're limited, we'll say, but what we get, I really liked. And it just adds like another layer of cult, cult type element, I suppose. But it also added to the creepiness for Chompy, for me. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people watching this like, what the hell, after they see it. Like, why did that scare you? But it just did. It was just something that struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it to. But I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of humor that works really well, but then there are some moments that are a little rough for me. Like but besides all that, I think that they ultimately, like, the creators made a very a cool movie that they should be proud of. Like, it was neat.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from the film is I think Jackson, the lead girl, was great. Yeah. And I really, really enjoyed her throughout. Mm-hmm. I also liked the dad.
Me too.
As well. But I don't know. I felt like the actress that was playing Jackson was just all in.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
She was going like for absolute invested. Broke.
Yes.
She was letting it all hang out. She was doing her humor thing. She was doing it all.
Yeah.
And she absolutely carried most of the film for me. It is a very wacky movie. Mm-hmm. You know, when you see what Chompy is and you see all of that stuff, you're going to be like, whoa. But there is heart in this film. Sometimes a little corny, a little on the nose. Some of the metaphors are a little obvious. But I don't knock this film for any of those things.
No.
You know, I just find the film to be so charming in its like desires and its goals and what it's trying to achieve that I just am kind of more enamored by it. And I'm a big fan. I really enjoyed this. I definitely think this is one of those kinds of movies where you show it to people and they're like either like, what the is this?
Yeah.
What am I watching? This is so stupid. Yeah. I hate this. What is wrong with you?
Yes, or they're like obsessed with it.
Or they're like totally in.
It's so
sure.
Good. Yeah. I think charming is a great word to describe it. It's a very, very charming film. It's very quirky, and it is one of those things that it will work for some people and not for others. But I think
and that's fine. Like when it comes to film, you don't need to try to please everybody.
No,
right?
Not at all.
Like who cares? Isolate 50-70% of the people who watch it. Fuck them. If they don't get it, that's fine. Not everything has to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Not everything's so easily digestible. Not all music has to be poppy. Not all freaking movies have to be appealing. Like, there's all sorts of movies. And we're fucking horror fans. I mean, 90% of the shit we watch, people want nothing to do with just because of the genre label. And if we were, I mean, we watched Hostel last night. I've seen it a bunch. But when I'm watching that, I'm like, who does this appeal to? This is only going to appeal to maybe like 5% of audiences. But the 5% of audiences that saw it, and you know, you have probably half of them that loved it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, cool, you got a film you loved. I mean, not everything can be, you know, Wizard of Oz or something where it's like got this mass appeal to it. It's like, no, it's fine. And I think that Chompy and the Girls is a really quirky, sweet, funny, ambitious film that had very little to work with. And the directors and everyone involved was like, screw it.
We're going make this.
All in.
Yeah.
And I commend the hell out of them for that because I was very impressed. And I would love to see what everyone would do next. And this Jackson chick, I'm telling you, she's got something. She's got some star power to her.
I think so.
A lot of talk about Lauren Rivera this year because of Terrifier 2, and we did an interview with her. She's a doll. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's charming. Jackson is all these things as well.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. She's funny. She had as much pizzazz to me as Lauren did in Terrifier 2.
I think that this is just such I mean, obviously it's such a weird film that, you know, it's, and not that Terrifier isn't, but it's a different kind of weird. Like, this is much more comedy, you know, than horror. I think that the horror that happens in it is pretty minimal, and that a lot of people would find that even comedic.
Oh, sure.
You know, like, because what scared me is it's ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous.
It feels like a Saturday Night Live gag.
But it was
That's
scary
what it feels like.
to me. So.
Yeah, it feels like a Saturday Night Live character.
Yeah. But I agree. I think that her performance is really, really cool, and I want to see more from her for sure. I would love to see other horror movies that she's in, and I mean, the ambition of the movie, it really is commendable because there's such a low budget involved, but I feel like it works really well regardless of whatever money was put into effects. Like I like the whole feel of it. I think it's campy and goofy, and yeah.
And to close this out, if the director is watching, or the girl who played Jackson is watching, or whoever, come on, let's have an interview. I would love to promote this film.
Yeah,
I'd love to
absolutely.
talk about it. So hit us up in the comments and let's set something up. Because I think that this, like we were talking about with Terrifier 2, tons of eyes are on that film, and yeah, it's got a little bit more mass appeal. But this is the kind of film that no one notices or no one sees, and then it becomes like this hidden gem years down the line, this cult thing. Screw that. I want it noticed now. I want us to have people notice it now. The audience that it's going to appeal to, I want them to get it now. Because this is a really fun film and will be completely overlooked. I saw no advertisements for it. I happened completely by chance upon this. And I just saw the cover and was like, what the hell is this? And I watched a little bit of the trailer and I was like, oh, I'm in. This is totally my kind of film and it needs more eyes on it. So let's promote this thing. Come on. Let's have an interview. Let's talk about it. And we'll get some more eyes on this movie. But other than that, if you like really weird, quirky horror comedies with charming heart, check it out.
Yes, check it out.
Yeah. Support independent, unique filmmaking, please.
Always.
Yes. Anyways, bye guys.